The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
and so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
1, 2, 3, 4. as a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
It's a huge burden lifted financially, and so it allows you to give singular focus to your child. I've never known a hospital that takes care of their patients so thoroughly.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When they told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow, they pretty much have saved us.
It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders, and now your focus is supporting this child.
There is not another hospital like St. Jude. The patient care is unmatchable. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. America. Good Tuesday morning to you. Tuesday, September number 19 in the year of our Lord 2017. Glad that you are here for all of you liberty lovers and ecclesiastites all across the globe. Yes, indeed. Call-in action hotline number is 603-835-3226. As you well know, we've got a new hurricane that is bearing down on the island of Puerto Rico. We'll get into that a little bit later about why that's a big deal. Beyond the Category 4 or Category 5 direct hit, as everybody is in the weather service is saying right now, it's going to be a direct hit to Puerto Rico, which would be devastating to Puerto Rico for a number of different reasons. But that's, well, and plus we've got President Trump. President Donald Trump will be at the UN later this morning giving a speech at the United Nations in New York City. And we've got some Hillary news. I know you don't want to hear or talk about Hillary, but we got some Hillary news. Got some other news in here. Plus, later today we have the wonderful holiday list for today, and maybe we'll get into some Twitter stuff. Get in a little bit of stuff that people have been saying on Twitter. But to begin with, we know that we have this hurricane. Isn't that how they pronounce it down south, hurricane? They don't say hurricane, they say hurricane. Puerto Rico imposes rationing as Hurricane Maria approaches. Maria, Maria. No, that's that's a song. Not by Babyface, but one of those kind of. Wasn't it Babyface? Yeah, it was Babyface. Maybe it was Babyface. I don't remember. One of the R&B singers from the 80s and 90s with a higher voice, you know, those kind of singers. Or could you say it was Mariah? Is Mariah spelled the same way as Maria? It comes, takes me back to my days in middle school. Seventh grade choir. And I don't remember who the song was written by or who sung it, but one of those old standards. And they call the wind Mariah, the rain is Tess, the fire is Joe, and they call the wind. Most of you probably have no idea what song that is, but it's amazing how you can remember lyrics to music, but you can. That was my teacher's, the music teacher's one big point about music. She was thinking of ways. At least she told. I don't know if evidently she never came up with the whole system, but she said Mrs. Toth was her name. Toth, Toth, as in tooth, but Toth. But I remember her telling us that she was working on a method to help people or help students remember certain subjects better by putting it all in song. Now, evidently, she never came up with it. But it is amazing how you can remember the lyrics to songs years and years and years later. And I remember a lot of the lyrics from a lot of the songs that we sang back then. It's just evergreen. Barbra Streisand. She was a Barbra Streisand nut. She loved Barbra Streisand. She loved Babs back in the day. But in any case, Hurricane Maria or Mariah, depending on what part of the world you're coming from, has imposed a rationing of basic supplies, including water and baby formula, as Hurricane Maria approaches as a Category 5 storm. Now, I don't know how you can explain to a baby. How do you explain, Lucy, to a baby that you don't have any baby formula? Well, at that particular point, I think you're going, unless you've taken medications to dry up, you're going to need to open the mommy factory over the bed. Well, it's true. You'll probably be surprised about how many people are going to freak out because they can't go to the store and buy formula, not even realizing or even thinking for a moment that the birth mother is a walking milk factory. Like most female mammals. And I don't know why humans just think it's not. Well, there was a program on I think it was ABC back in the 90s. I think it was called Homefront. It was only on for a couple of years, but I do remember. Well, it was took place right after World War II was over, and the soldiers are coming home, and there were even a few immigrants that were coming, especially from war-torn places like Germany and Italy. And this one soldier, I think he was killed in action, but he married an Italian girl from Italy, and she had a baby. They pregnant, and the mother-in-law didn't like her because she was Italian, not an American. She was a typical 40s bigoted type of thing, I guess. I don't know if that's what they'd say today. But I remember in the program they were talking. She was talking about, well, you don't, because she was breastfeeding the baby, and the mother-in-law was upset, saying, well, this is America, baby formula from the store is better nutrition for the baby than your breast milk, and there are people that actually believe that till this day. Even we've had to take there had to be scientific studies done to prove the benefits of mother's milk, human mother's milk. I mean, it's ridiculous to think that we could create something that was better. And we realized that the formula they had to reformulate formula a number of times while they were doing these studies because formula was so inadequate. Now, frankly, I don't. According to them, I don't know how any of us survived who were raised on formulas, but there you have it. But in any case, they are rationing formulas in good old Puerto Rico. Now, officials said Monday that rationing is necessary to ensure everyone has access to basic items such as batteries, milk, canned foods, flashlights, and other supplies. It does not apply to gasoline or other fuel. So you can hoard the fuel. You just can't hoard the food. Well, stores at shelves at many stores were emptying out quickly as people rushed to finalize hurricane preparations. Many posted desperate pleas on social media for help in finding certain items. Now, the problem is with all of this is simply because Puerto Rico is in dire financial straits. I mean, they're basically it's a bankrupt protectorate territory of the USA. They're basically bankrupt, and they're already warning that power could be out to millions of the what is there 3.5 4 million people living on the island or something like that. But power could be out to 1 to 2 million of Puerto Ricans for not just days, but for weeks, because they've let their infrastructure go, as they call it. It is a dilapidated system. As a matter of fact, the main power generating company has also on the island also filed for bankruptcy. Well, I mean, you got a bunch of people that can't pay their electric bill. What are you going to do? Unemployment rate on the island is 10%, which is why so many Puerto Ricans have come to the mainland. Now, don't forget that Puerto Ricans are citizens. They can come anytime they want. They don't need a passport. It's not cheap getting off the island, though, flying off. But they don't have to take boats. There's no flotilla or anything. But they're able to save some money and fly off the island and come to the mainland and find work and jobs. Like I said, Puerto Ricans are hardworking people. But what you've had is a liberal Democratic-run government for decades down there that is totally now. Look, if you want to see how bad it's going to be here in the USA in liberal-run states, look at Puerto Rico. It's a mess. Now, if things do not change, look at just sort of, 10, 11, 12 times? Make it 12 times. How many people live in California? California is headed in the same direction. The state of California is headed in the same. They just want to spend willy-nilly. Oh, I got some stuff here on Nancy Pelosi, too. They want to spend willy-nilly. This is what they did in Puerto Rico without really paying attention to anything. They just kept all these services, government services open, all this welfare state, and they neglected their infrastructure, both their power grid, their water grid, and their road grid. And now we haven't been hit by a major hurricane direct hit since, Category 4 or 5 or something like that since 1928, as if it was never going to happen again. So they've had a long drought from getting a direct hit. So they thought they were complacent. Oh, we can, just sort of hang around, spend money willy-nilly and other things. Isn't that what they thought about New Orleans? Oh, we don't have to worry so much about the levees. Notice this. The money is available in these liberal enclaves. And a lot of times the money is actually, earmarked. That they're getting the money that's supposed to be earmarked for certain infrastructure improvements. And they don't spend it on that. Oh, we've got time. It doesn't need that much. We said it needs $100 million, but, $30 million will do. So they get the $100 million, they keep the $70 million and spend it on a bunch of other stuff. And this is what happened. This is what happens all over the place, especially in liberal. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen in Republican enclaves too, but nowhere near the extent as in liberal enclaves. And this stuff is just rampant. It's fraud in my book. Their government officials should be, I don't care how long ago that they were governor or senator of the state or what have you. It's fraud and they should go to jail. Yeah, maybe we should be holding legally. There should be legal outcomes for our elected officials for dereliction of duty. We elect you to take care of things, to do certain things, and you don't do them. So if something happens later on, then those people who were in charge at the time, who were the elected officials at the time that the money and issue was brought forth, should be held accountable if something doesn't happen. So in other words, when the federal and state government, let's say of Louisiana, earmarked, I don't know, how many millions of dollars towards upgrading and expanding the levee system in New Orleans, and it didn't get done, every single one of the elected officials during that time period, not necessarily afterwards, but during the time period that they actually commissioned the money for the work, every single one of those elected officials and appointed officials should be charged with fraud and, if found guilty, sent to jail. Now, we need to start demanding that kind of thing as people. We can do that. After all, they do work for us. So why don't we start doing that? We should. Start sending these people, maybe they'll start doing their jobs. You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
Around the town when folks are snacking,
bells to brand you'll find them packing.
The great taste tells. If it's Bell, it's swell. At parties, dinner, or when you're lunching,
Bell's the brand that gets you crunching.
The great taste tells. If it's Bell, it's swell.
The potato chip that's made today is fresh today to be crisp today. So dip away, eat them any old way, and let the chips fall where they may.
In the bag or boxed in the pack,
Bell's the one that keeps you coming back.
'Cause great taste tells. If it's Bell, it's swell. Bell, swell.
603-835-3226. That is the call-in hotline number, should you wish to utilize that here on the program. And the program that you're listening to is, of course, The Rod Eccles Show. Bankrupt Puerto Rico faces direct hit from Hurricane Maria or Mariah, depending on where in the world that you're from. Now, Puerto Rico is already trying to dig itself out of a historic financial crisis led on by a bunch of liberals. And it's now facing a major direct hit from a major hurricane that could destroy any progress the U.S. territory has made under a year-old economic rehab plan and set it back even further. This is a report by NBC News. Now, Hurricane Maria is forecast to hit Puerto Rico Wednesday, tomorrow, testing the local government's ability to respond to a humanitarian disaster. While the Caribbean island of 3.4 million is accustomed to tropical storms, it hasn't been hit by a Category 4 or 5 hurricane since 1928. Now, Governor Ricardo Rossello announced yesterday that he had declared a state of emergency and urged people living in flood-prone areas to evacuate to higher ground. Now, obviously, they all can't evacuate off the island, so evacuate to higher ground where they can't be flooded out. Now, understand that this is they're talking direct hit. If you live in a wood shack or shanty on Puerto Rico, get to higher ground or get to some place that is safer. This is what they're saying. I'm not saying this is what the government, the territory government, if you want to call it that, state government of Puerto Rico is telling everybody to do. Because people do realize that that Puerto Rico is in a form of receivership. Because they've mismanaged their finances for years and years and years. And the federal government, it's a territory, not a state. So there's supposed to be oversight from Washington over our territories. There was no oversight. There was none. And so now that there has been rampant overspending in the wrong areas that has it has bankrupted the island. It's bankrupted the territory. It is now in the middle of a form of receivership. There isn't any money available to help the people when the government needs to help the people the most. This is malfeasance at best. I mean, financial malfeasance at best. These people somebody needs to go to jail. You cannot mismanage the finances of an entire territory. The equivalent of at 3.5 million people, Puerto Rico is larger than some of our states as far as population is concerned. And all of those people are citizens, and they have been mistreated. Their money has been mishandled and mistreated. The people have been mistreated on the island. Somebody needs to go to jail for this. Because now when government is supposed to jump into action and what government it is actually for in cases like this, they're not going to be able to do it because there's no money. They're not going to be able to rebound and rebuild like they should and could because there's no money. Because somebody absconded with it, misappropriated it, mishandled it, misused it, and now it's gone. And nobody's been keeping track of it either. I mean, it's how they get away with this stuff because nobody keeps track of it. And then when somebody does say something, like in the case of Puerto Rico, nobody goes to jail. Nobody gets charged with malfeasance. Nobody gets charged with mishandling, public funds. Nobody gets charged with misappropriating funds. Nobody gets charged with negligence. When it's pretty damn clear that there's negligence and misappropriation all over the place. And nobody gets charged for that stuff. And we should be doing that to these public officials that we elect and who get appointed by elected officials. Can you imagine if Florida had mismanaged their money like this and what would happen now, or if Texas had mismanaged? Good God.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, I'm Hillary Duff. As a mom, I'm proud to support the March of Dimes in helping more women have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. That's why I walk in March for Babies. The money we raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Sign up today at marchforbabies.org. Together, we can help make healthier babies possible for thousands of families.
It's pretty amazing when you consider that 7 years ago, we didn't have the treatments we have now. We cure 80% of children with cancer. Go back 50 years, we were curing 20 to 30%. This is the miracle story of modern medicine. We understand what makes this cancer tick. And of course, without donors from around the world, this just couldn't happen. There's one thing we're focused on, and that's beating this thing.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
America's wounded warriors are coming home. After serving on foreign shores, these brave men and women are returning to their families and communities. Many have wounds you can see, and many have wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Now that these warriors are back home, they are ready to enter the civilian workforce. To help, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps warriors translate their military experience to the civilian workplace. These extraordinary men and women bring proven world-class job skills and a unique perspective on teamwork to the job. And to ensure the right warrior finds the right job, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right match. When you hire a wounded warrior, you hire an intelligent, talented, and committed new employee. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show. Let truth be told.
(603) 835-3226. That is it. Why am I still hearing what I'm still hearing? That is the number over there on the. I don't. Sometimes it's computers. You know, I still have my little battles with computer battles every now and then, but I still plan on winning the war. Make no mistake about it. It is going to happen. But in any case, 603-835-3226, that is the call-in number of the Rod Eccles Show. Glad that you are here this morning. You know, continuing with this this whole notion of arresting people. They need to be arrested. They need to be arrested. They need to be held accountable. I mean, if you are really doing the damage that you are doing, and, they are too, by the way. When you do not do your duty as an elected official, it has ramifications that you just don't fully understand. It goes far beyond. Look, this is where government comes into play when it comes to doing what they're supposed to be doing for the people. That's it. They're not supposed to be out there giving handouts. It's not what government is for. I don't know how many times I got to say that. It is not the government's job to provide your food and your housing for you. It's not. I do not care how cold you think that is. It is not the government's responsibility. It is government's responsibility to make sure that everything surrounding you being able to take care of yourself and put a roof over your own head is the name of the game. In other words, it's the government's responsibility to keep the border safe, so the country safe, so you have the ability to go out and get a job or work or do whatever you need to do to put a roof over your head. If you want to live up in Alaska and be a homesteader, great. It's the government's responsibility to make sure that we have access to be able to get to places. Okay, in modern times, that would be paved roadways, adequate roadways. In many cases, our roadways are inadequate because they're crumbling and falling apart because we're spending money other places. So spend money on the military to keep us safe from foreign threat. Spend money on infrastructure so you have the roadways and the power grid in order for you to be able to do what you need to do in order to put a roof over your own head and put food on your own table. It is not the government's responsibility to put a chicken in your pot and to turn on your light and to put that roof over your head and make sure that you've got windows in it. It's not the government's responsibility for that. But we've had a bunch of liberals over the years, over the past century or so, who, because, they've become all modernized and enlightened and caring, because it's just terrible to see people in poverty. We can't have that. No, bullshit. Yes, we can. You're always going to have it. And you're going to have even more of it if you have government taking care of people. See, the one thing about poverty really is that's a motivator. Look at Puerto Rico. They ran out of money. So what happened? A lot of Puerto Ricans, they're naturalized, they're natural-born U.S. citizens, not naturalized, they're natural-born U.S. citizens. They ran out of money in Puerto Rico because they overspent on stuff they shouldn't have been spending on. And so these people were living in poverty and squalor, and they decided, you know what? I'm not going to live this way anymore. I've got an opportunity here. I'm an American citizen. I'm an American. Puerto Rican second, American first. I can go to the mainland and seek my fortune. And many Puerto Ricans did and have. Because there's something motivating about poverty when you don't have your basic needs met. When government comes in and pays for your basic needs, you have no ambition to better yourself or your family or your condition or your community. None. When your basic needs are not met, that's when you get up off your lazy ass and you go to work. And that notion has been proven time and time and time again. But you have liberals who think that it is just so wonderful to pay people to sit on their ass because that's the caring thing to do. No, that's not the caring thing to do. That's a slavery mentality. And slavery mentality will get you into trouble where you were so bad you'll get into trouble that you're going to then when something major happens, you're not going to have anything. You're not going to have any ability to come back and rely on yourself. You're not going to have any ability. There is not going to be any ability for your local community to come together and do what it needs to do in order to survive. You're going to be looking for your state and federal government handout again, and there isn't going to be any money. And so you're just going to sit there and think, well, you promised us this and you promised us that. And the good old slave master liberal is going to crack the whip and say, sorry, we don't have any money. Or you've got to jump through all kinds of hoops in order to get the money. And you're going to be shocked, as a lot of people often are when they think that the government is going to be their savior because they've become the slave of government. When government fails them or forces them to actually work hard at getting that free money, they are shocked like you would not believe. And then they protest. You get things like Black Lives Matter. They protest and protest and protest. But that doesn't change anything. They're still impoverished. They're still poor. And yet they think the best thing to do is to stand there after they protest and destroy other people's properties, to stand there with their hand out and say, give me more. Get off your ass and go to work. And if government never gave them the money to begin with, never made them comfortable enough to where they wouldn't get off their ass to begin with, we wouldn't have these problems. Do you realize that if we did not have the welfare state, we would not have Black Lives Matter? I mean, I'm going to put it out there. Without the welfare state created by liberals, starting with Woodrow Wilson, and then exponentially being pressed forward and into operation by Lyndon Baines Johnson, the welfare state created Black Lives Matter. That's where the blame is. Because they promised a chicken in every black family's pot. They promised a roof over every black family's head. And none of it came true. These people are still impoverished. And not only that, they live in squalor. But they believe that government is supposed to bail them out of this mess. Government put them in the mess, they're saying, so government should bail us out. Well, government is not going to bail you out. The job was to enslave you in the first place, which the liberals did. They enslaved the black community. And now they're moving to enslave the non-Puerto Rican Latino community. Because Puerto Ricans aren't buying this crap anymore. I mean, when they leave the island of Puerto Rico and they come to work, they really do. But they're trying to enslave the non-Puerto Rican Latino immigrant, the Latino immigrant. Oh, come on over and we'll provide for you. We'll give you food stamps. We'll give you welfare. We'll give you free education. Whether you come here legally or illegally, especially if you're illegal, we'll give you all sorts of good stuff. And what do they do when you want to deport them? Oh, they're not fighting for a better life. They're fighting for the free stuff that they're getting. Believe me. Don't doubt me on this. They are fighting for the free stuff if we cut off the free stuff, most of these illegal immigrants, and this has also been something that's been proven, if you cut off the free stuff, they self-deport. They think, hey, I can't make it here. I might as well go back home. When you cut off the illegal support, they go home. So this notion you can't deport 11 or 20 million people, Rod, yeah, you can, because most of them will self-deport if you cut off their support system. Most people will find a legal way to try to better themselves if you cut off their government support system. The reason why you have a full-fledged government support system is because you want them enslaved to your government. Period. It's a new kind of slavery. It's a legal slavery. Socialism is a slave mentality government. Communism is a slave mentality government. Fascism is a slave mentality government. Everybody belongs to the state in those types of governments. And therefore, the state will take care of you as it sees fit, just like they did during slavery here in this country. We have a slave mentality, and we have people who want to fight to keep it. Believe it. Well, it's a form of Stockholm Syndrome, right? Don't doubt me on this. This is what this stuff is. When you have government that will not and cannot spend the money where it is supposed to be spent, and they have and will not spend the money on places, or they will spend the money on places it should not be spent. That is a government based on slave mentality. Enslavement mentality. Go ahead. Try to tell me I'm wrong. Try to tell me I'm wrong. All you got to do is look around. It doesn't matter where you go. It could be Puerto Rico. It could be California. It could be Texas. It could be New York. It could be Florida. Louisiana. It could be Michigan, Idaho. I don't care. Go to a state or a territory where government is overspending on social programs. And you will find a slave mentality that is backed up and protected by a Stockholm Syndrome mentality. Because as soon as you want to take it away, they're going to form their own Black Lives Matter group and start protesting, sometimes violently. And sometimes they'll even blame the people that are trying to help them. Why? Because the people that are trying to help them, who said that they've been trying to help them, who really only want to enslave them, aren't helping them enough. We got Nancy Pelosi is finding that out. Anybody see the presser that she gave yesterday, a couple of days ago? Nancy Pelosi was interrupted by a bunch of illegal immigrants, dreamers. They wouldn't let her speak. Really? I mean, you want to talk? First of all, if you're illegal, you know you're illegal, and you're proud of being illegal. You don't get to demonstrate in your illegally adopted country and demand more. You want to talk about being brazen? How brazen can you be to come to? But why do they have that mentality to believe that they can protest to demand more from government? Because our government has allowed them to come because our government has wanted to enslave them.
Hello, America. It's me, your history. I remember a time when we thumbed our nose in a king's face, sent him packing. And when fascists and emperors talked a little bit too loud, we showed up, tore their cities to the ground, and then rebuilt them just to prove we could. We put men on the moon, we won a Cold War, and we elected fearless leaders who led fearless people. What the hell happened to you, America? Back in my day, we didn't elect a big-eared community organizer. We punched him in the kidney. Maybe it's time you came home, America. Home where you belong.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
This is Free America broadcasting on the Rod Eccles Show with a message to all patriots trapped behind the lines in California, New York, Boston, and Chicago. Don't give up, true lovers of America. Even as we speak, moves are being made to drive the invaders back to the land from which they came. Defeat the would-be dictators and lift the chains of tyranny from around your neck. Stay strong. Stay brave. You're not forgotten, and you're not alone. Until next time, patriots, this is Free America signing out.
Call Rod now, 603-835-3226. Lines are open.
Yes, indeed. Nancy Pelosi was shut down by a bunch of dreamers at an event yesterday. Well, she was actually there to try to help them out. That's what she claimed. It was at a Dream Act event, and she was actually trying to be the good liberal. And at first, if you were paying attention to Nancy Pelosi's face, at first she was like had that crazy fake smile, and then she was getting visibly angry at them. You could see her. I swear to, did Nancy Pelosi did she really age overnight? I'm serious. I mean, did she really like super age or something? Because she looks like, Crypt Keeper. But in any case, there was a vocal group of undocumented. I love how they still use this. They're illegal. They're illegal Utes. A group of illegal Utes and their stupid supporters drowned out House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi Monday at a news conference where she was calling for immediate passage of the DREAM Act. So she was there giving a presser, trying to put pressure on Congress and the president to pass the Dreamers Act, the DREAM Act, in order to protect these little assholes. And they come storming into her presser and start shouting her down. She began by calling, her presser by calling the Dreamers courageous. And then these little thugs start marching in and saying, yeah, we're, it's kind of like we're queer, we're here. Remember those stuff from the LGBT community? We're queer, we're here. Well, now they're saying, well, we're dreamers, we're illegal, and we're here to stay. No, get your freaking asses out of my country if you know that you're illegal. Especially since you're thrashing and trashing and denouncing of one of the people who supports you. And they did the same tactic that Antifa and other leftist groups use. They kept shouting, they kept screaming, so even Nancy Pelosi couldn't speak. They were asking her questions and then wouldn't let her answer. So that's when she gets angry. And she was getting angry not because of the protest. She was getting angry because the little itty-bitty slaves weren't paying attention and listening to the slave master. Because they first came in and she stepped aside and, was smiling and was thinking, oh, look, my little slaves are demonstrating. They're right on cue. Oh, isn't that so cute? They're like little puppies. And then when they started asking questions and wouldn't let her answer, that's when she got angry. That's when her countenance and her facial expression changed. Because now she's like, well, wait a minute. She's thinking, hold on. I'm cracking the slave whip here, and you're not listening to me. But she's not going to, just like all the good liberals out in California, they're not going to take this to heart and pay attention to it. They're going to still blame Donald Trump for wanting to get rid of the Dreamers. And of course, she's so wimpified herself. She's such a drained shell of a woman that instead of shouting back at them, she had to wait them out. Now the group were actually carrying signs, individual signs, and the signs were saying that we undocumented youth demand a clean bill. We undocumented youth demand that you do not sell out our community and our values. We undocumented youth will not be a bargaining chip for Trump. You undocumented youth have no rights. Can you believe this? Undocumented youth demand a clean bill. You're not citizens of this country. You do not have the right to dictate what we do in this country. Can you believe this crap? Look, I told you this sort of thing was coming.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I'm a leftist elite Hollywood a-hole? If so, good news. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College is now open, featuring such courses as unemployment is not paid vacation. No, Americans don't want to spend $19 for an order of French fries, and the ever popular shut the hell up. Why, just listen to this big-time celebrity endorsement.
I'm not Rosie O'Donnell, and I think this school's offensive, sexist, and racist.
And I think you're a giant a-hole who needs to shut the hell up. Hey, we teach a course in that. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College, where being an a-hole is not a guarantee you'll be an A student.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and always stay in the kitchen when cooking at high temperatures. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
And now, a message from the American Migraine Foundation.
It's an absolute nightmare. I was terrified. It was like your head's gonna explode.
Migraine is a disabling disease.
Just all of a sudden couldn't see.
Migraine has ruined my life.
Absolutely terrifying.
There's pain that does not stop.
It's a throbbing, pulsing, banging, hammering feeling in your head.
36 million Americans suffer.
I started getting migraines around 5 years old.
Just takes over everything.
I feel trapped by migraine.
It hurts like my head's gonna fall off.
And the whole world around you stops.
My world has gotten small.
You feel like the world's closing in on you. There's nothing you can do.
I had spent a year housebound. It's like you're trapped in your head. There's no escaping it. You can't leave your body.
Don't suffer alone. Make your move against migraine. Visit AmericanMigraineFoundation.org to find help, learn more, and get connected.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
And so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
Every day,
The men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. Good morning. Here it is, Tuesday, September number 19 in the year of our Lord 2017. Welcome to you liberty lovers and ecclesiastites all around the globe, as well as all you new listeners. The call-in action hotline number is 603-835-3226. Glad that you are all here. Yes, indeed. It is a rather, well, we here in New England, we're about to get a little taste of one of the Hurricane Jose, I think. What's left of Hurricane Jose? I don't know. We had some hurricane action. All of a sudden, just this month. I mean, there wasn't a whole hell of a lot of hurricane season began months ago, but we haven't had a whole hell of a lot of hurricane activity. Well, which begs the question: why not? If we have hurricane season. And, man has done all this stuff to make hurricanes bigger, badder, worse, then why do we only have it now? And they just seem to be coming in rapid succession. I mean, Harvey, Irma, Jose, now Maria. What's after that? Oh, it's just it could be actually, and there's some rumblings out there in Southern California, earthquake rumbling, not in San Francisco, evidently, L.A. And well, I mean, I know it's earthquake zone, it's earthquake prone, and they're always going to feel the rumblings of earthquakes and that kind of thing. But most people, what is the saying out there? I don't know. I've actually, as far as I know, I've never even been to L.A. No, I've been to San Francisco. I didn't feel the earth move when I was in California. For any of the times that I was in California, I didn't feel. I felt more earthquakes here in New England and in New York, upstate New York, than I have in California when I was out in California. So, but I'm just saying. Now I understand that there is a minimum, a Richter scale event for native Southern Californians to even notice. Because they probably think that anything less than a 4 on the Richter scale is a big truck rumbling down the street. Because I remember the first time I actually noticed a earthquake. Geez, I don't know. This was back in the 80s in Syracuse, New York. We had not a hurricane, but we had an earthquake. And I thought it was just a big truck rumbling down the street. but it lasted longer than trucks normally rumbling down the street. We've had those same events here in New Hampshire, where at first you think it's just a truck because it's not huge. It's not, you're not being pulled off balance. Things aren't falling off the walls. Buildings aren't swaying and that type of thing. So you just think it's a truck, and then you realize, well, that's lasting a little bit longer than a truck. So I guess that's what native Southern Californians think of. Anything less than a 4 in the Richter scale is just a convoy of trucks running down the street. Okay. And we have all these people that are worried about these quake swarms that are happening in and around Yellowstone gigantic volcano, super volcano. Well, if that thing were to rise and explode, it would mean some major problems for the Western Hemisphere. It really would. But I'm not going to live my life based on some of these preppers talking about the super volcano coming back to life. I guess it's still alive. It's just dormant. I don't know the difference between a dead volcano and a dormant volcano. I would assume that a dead volcano could come back to life as well. Because it's tapping into the same source, right? That's the whole point. But in any case, so they're feeling some rumbling out there in southern SoCal. Hopefully, it won't be any bigger. And I'm sure that there are people out there who are blaming Donald Trump for the rash of hurricanes that are now striking the U.S. of A. Well, we've had 2. Well, actually, I get Jose didn't really make landfall, but we're feeling a little bit of the effects of it. So I guess you could say 3 hurricanes have. When we were on a 12-year drought, now 3 major hurricanes have made their feelings felt on the U.S. mainland. So, and we're about to have a 4th, I guess. I don't know where is Maria supposed to go after it plows through Puerto Rico? Is that it? Wasn't there another hurricane? And it plowed into Mexico? I know Mexico recently had a couple of big quakes, but didn't a hurricane just plow into Mexico too? I don't know. It's hard to keep track of this stuff because every time. Did anybody notice how when Irma started to lose its Category 5 awesomeness, that they started focusing on Jose? Well, we don't know what Jose is going to be doing out here. Look at Jose. Jose is going to be. It has a chance of revving up to being a Category 5. It's going to be a Cat 5, and it keeps swirling around there in the Atlantic. And it could be a Cat 6 for all we know. We're going to have to invent a new Cat 6 category for Hurricane Jose. Because Irma didn't do what they wanted it to do. So now we got Maria. Oh, Puerto Rico is going to take a direct hit. As if Puerto Rico is like a tank or something, or a ship, and it's being hit by a missile. But, hey, this is how they like to overplay stuff. And sometimes I understand overplaying a little bit because you want people to pay attention to you. But when you overplay as much as they do, and you do it as loud and as often as they do, it's the equivalent of the old fable, Boy Who Cried Wolf. For those of you who don't know the fable, let me just break it down for you in a simple, quick synopsis. Boy Shepherd doesn't trust that people will help him when he needs them. So he tests them. He's out there with his sheep. He cries, "Wolf, wolf, wolf." And the good people of the town come running with their pitchforks and shovels and everything else to try to save it. And he says, the first time he's like, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize, I didn't know if you were going to come and save me if I really needed. I didn't trust that you would. This is just a test. It's just a test." And so the townspeople are saying, okay, we can understand that. We've never had given you any reason to trust or that we'd come to your rescue, but okay, got it. So the boy sits there, a little while longer, and he still thinks, are they paying attention now? I don't know. I don't trust that they're paying attention. So he yells, wolf, wolf, wolf again. And all the townspeople come running. And there's no wolf. And the boy explains, I didn't know if you were still listening. So this time the townspeople are upset. They're angry. They're pissed. So he's the little boy shepherd is sitting there tending to his flock of sheep a little bit longer. And then all of a sudden, there comes a wolf. The wolf attacks his flock. The boy cries, wolf, wolf, wolf. And the townspeople look, there he is. He's trying to test us again. And the wolf devours his flock. That's basically a quick synopsis of Boy Who Cried Wolf. And that's what we've got with hurricanes. In fact, you've got people telling news, this was the overblown. I don't think we're going to leave next time. We didn't need to leave this time. We need to go through all this pain, this trouble, this confusion, this tumult. This is ridiculous. You get a lot of people in Florida saying, we're not moving, we're not leaving next time because we're not going to believe them. This is what happened before. New Orleans? Because they had all these hurricane warnings, for years and years beforehand, never really did the damage that they said or even hit them in New Orleans. And they said, we're protected. We're not it's not going to be that bad because they've always said that just to try to scare us. And then this time, like little boy cried wolf, it was that bad. And people didn't leave. So I don't know if this whole, there isn't really much, earthquake detection possibilities. It's just going to happen out there in California. I don't know why people live in Southern California, to tell you the truth. I mean, I get the weather and everything, but terra firma doesn't stay firma for very long, does it, out there? So, I mean, I sure as hell wouldn't catch me. Well, I guess you couldn't say. I took the BART under, tunnel system, whatever, tram systems back and forth to the airport from San Francisco Airport to San Francisco proper. I guess I'd be caught in a subway system in LA too, then, wouldn't I? It was done to make it easy to get back and forth. See, we don't have that here. We don't have a subway system that goes through our airport, although we should. Nobody's ever talking about it. We should have an airport. All we have is surface transportation, and it's expensive and unreliable and congested. Hey, you want to take cars off the road? Expand your subway system then. Honestly, that's what it's going to take for Boston. But in any case, so you have these demonstrators, Nancy Pelosi demonstrators out there in California, who are illegal. Meanwhile, at the border, Haitians get blocked at the border with the U.S., but somehow they still are able to find their non-Haitian dream in Mexico. Yes, there's a new crop of star employees at an upscale Tijuana car wash where customers cross the borders to the USA from the USA to pay up to $950 to have their prized possessions steamed and scrubbed for hours. They're never late, he says. They always hustle, and they come in on days off to learn new skills and traits that he says make them a model for their Mexican counterparts. So Haitians are finding jobs in Mexico. I guess the Wait. Let me see if I can... Let me see if I understand this story from the AP. The AP is telling us basically that in Mexico, there are immigrants in Mexico doing jobs that Mexicans won't do. Don't we hear that same thing here in the illegal immigrants from Mexico, the Mexican immigrants, they're doing jobs here in the U.S. that Americans won't do. And we've always been told the reason why they come here is because they don't have opportunity in their own country. Well, for crying out loud, here's a story and the AP doesn't even realize what they've done. Here's a story here that puts a spotlight on that bullshit. You've got jobs available in Mexico, but Mexicans don't want them. So Haitians who can't get across the border into the U.S. are finding their pot of gold, as it were, in Mexico, doing jobs that Mexicans won't do. You can't make this stuff up, folks. I mean, this is hilarious. And you've got these wonderful people, complaining. We want to. Well, I tell you why they want to come here. I told you before, the beginning of the show. It's due to the fact that we give them free stuff. Because the liberal government here wants to enslave them. So they don't want to work for it. They realize they can come here and get it for free. Well, I mean, hell, you can either work and be in so-called poverty, or you can sit on your ass and be in so-called poverty. Which would you rather do? Well, the human condition says, well, it's easy money. I'd rather sit on my ass and watch Maury Povich all day long and still be in quote-unquote poverty than working 8, 10, 12 hours a day and quote-unquote be in poverty. So now in Mexico, there are jobs that Mexicans won't do, so they have to bring in the Haitians to do them. You can't make this up, folks.
You're listening to the Rod Eccles Show, the coolest, most politically incorrect, conservative black man on the planet.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Speaking of illegal immigration and stopping it here in this country, we had a sheriff that really tried very hard to do that. Sheriff Arpaio, Joe Arpaio. Everybody remember him? Yeah, Sheriff Joe Arpaio was tried very hard to do that, to get rid of prevent illegal immigration from happening here in this country. Well, especially down in Arizona, his neck of the woods. So, good on Joe for that. But you have some people who dislike Joe Arpaio because he did that. And you do know, if you've listened to this show or if you weren't living under a rock, Trump pardoned Arpaio from what I would construe as being an illegal conviction. He went to trial for some crimes that were just trumped up BS crap from the left over from the Obama administration. And Trump pardoned this guy, Sheriff Arpaio, because it had everything to do with, because he wasn't listening to the Obama administration about the way he was handling and doing certain things. And some people might say, well, it was kind of harsh. No, this is the sheriff that forced inmates at his county prisons to wear pink clothing, pink underwear and pink and orange outer garments. Well, and instead of building a new jail, he housed a lot of inmates in tents. Well, it's because he was picking up a lot of criminals that were also illegal. And he was holding them. In other words, he was upholding the law and doing his job, and he wasn't worried about being pretty about it. Because there were some, I guess at one point there was a mistake in the laundry, and everybody thought, well, he was just going to, give everybody new clothing, what have you. And he said, no, you know what? We're going to make everything pink and orange. How's that? And that's just the way it was. And you had some people who were, these wonderful advocates for criminals who were all up in arms. Oh, he's mistreating them. Oh, give me a break. Wearing pink is mistreating a criminal. Okay, or somebody in jail. Well, they're not all criminals, Rod. Some of them are just being held because they either were denied bail or couldn't afford bail, and they're waiting trial. I get it. They're not guilty yet. They haven't been to trial. But hey, they're in the system. They're in jail. So jail is not supposed to be meant to be comfortable. But because this guy, Arpaio, was not making jail comfortable and he was following and upholding the law, they tried to convict him and send, they probably would have tried to send him in jail or at least house arrest, because the man is 85 years old, so they probably wouldn't have actually sent him to jail. They would have made him house arrest until he died. So Trump pardoned him. Well, now there's a Harvard law professor by the name of Lawrence Tribe who is so upset about that he's come out with a piece that states that Trump could and should have his pardon overturned. By who? Well, here's how convoluted this guy is. Now, see if you can follow this. In this issue of the pardon, is this use of the pardon power constitutional? In most cases, however controversial, he writes, courts should not second-guess the president's use of the pardon power. I didn't know they ever could second-guess the president's use of the power of pardon. But when the Constitution says the president shall have power, that does not mean unlimited power. It means power that is not inconsistent with other parts of the Constitution. For example, the Constitution says Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, but it doesn't mean that Congress can tax white people at a different rate than black people. The Constitution says that the president shall have power to make treaties, but that doesn't mean he has power to make treaties that abolish freedom of speech. Actually, it does. Yeah. because the Constitution does talk about treaties superseding a bunch of stuff. We're not done with this yet. We'll be back.
Dad, we need to talk.
Can we just enjoy the drive?
If you're not going to listen to me, who will we listen to?
Jeffrey.
Marcia Gay Harden, what?
Eyes on the road, Dad.
What are you doing? What are you doing in my back seat? How did you get in here?
You're getting older.
Not that old.
Your brain's changing. It's natural.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Honey, I've got experience with this. Jeffrey, brain health is all about making the most of your brain as you age and helping to reduce some of the risks to your brain.
Really? Now that's interesting.
So, you'll talk to her about this, but not me. Marcia Gay Harden? Where did she go?
Learn what you can do to help keep your brain healthy at brainhealth.gov. She didn't say goodbye? I mean, I would have. Visit brainhealth.gov.
Every day, 70,000 puppies or kittens are born in the U.S. Cute, right? What's not cute is that half of all litters are accidents, which leads to millions killed in shelters each year. Turns out, those little cuties can get pregnant sooner than you think. But here's the good news. You can stop the accident before it happens. When you bring home a pet, get them fixed at 4 months old. Prevent more. Fix at month 4. Visit fixat4.com for more information. Brought to you by Best Friends Animal Society.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, it can lead to arthritis, facial paralysis, and even memory and concentration problems, often called brain fog. As the threat of Lyme disease grows to more than 300,000 projected cases each year, it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside, even in your own backyard. It means seeing a doctor if you experience the symptoms of Lyme disease, which can include joint pain, flu-like symptoms, fever, fatigue, or sometimes a bullseye-shaped rash. Set your sights on stopping Lyme. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event!
Promises to one's community.
Healthy people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
We're here early before they wake up. We stay late. We stay informed. We invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
We do this not because it's our job, but because this is about our veterans' lives. This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
Hi, this is Kelsey Grammer. When military service members head into battle, none are expected to face the enemy alone, but many return home and become isolated as they struggle with the visible and invisible wounds of war. It can be difficult knowing how to overcome that challenge and rekindle bonds similar to those formed in the military. Wounded Warrior Project supports these injured veterans through their recoveries by connecting them with fellow warriors and their communities. No one should fight this battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Call Rod now, 666-603-835-3226. So this Harvard law professor who thinks that he's so smart, he's come up with the perfect way to overturn a pardon. He goes on to say that the power, the Constitution says the president shall have power to make treaties, but that doesn't mean that the president can make treaties that abolish freedom of speech. Actually, it can, as I pointed out before the break, where the Constitution also says that treaties supersede, just about everything else. When the president makes a treaty and Congress ratifies it, then they have to look after the treaty. And if a treaty somehow this is why some people were afraid of Obama and Clinton damaging. It can't eliminate the Constitution, but it could damage it to such a way, including areas of freedom of speech, as well as the right to carry and bear arms. If they have treaties out there that that want to limit the use of arms and the manufacture and sale and proliferation of arms in this country, that affects your constitutional rights, and it supersedes it. And the Constitution says that it does. But okay, let's just say that Constitution says nothing about that. The power to pardon is limited by the Fifth Amendment's guarantee that no person be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So where does a pardon do that? Where does pardoning Arpaio for his supposed crime of upholding the law do that? He says that the guarantee requires that courts must be able to issue and enforce injunctions to stop constitutional violations by government officials. Otherwise, compliance with a court order would be optional. Well, when it comes to the fact that the court is also issuing an unconstitutional order, yeah, it is optional. Well, actually, it's not optional. You have a duty and obligation to disagree in any order that is unlawful, immoral, or unconstitutional, even if it comes from the court. Yeah, we've look, hell, in the military, which is not exactly a democracy, it's a form of dictatorship because it has to be. If a general or any superior officer gives an immoral or illegal order, it is the duty of the person receiving such an order to ignore it and or report it. So if a court issues an illegal and immoral order, are you supposed to follow it? No, you have an obligation as a citizen and a human being to not follow it. But where does this come off? Where does this somehow, his convoluted thinking somehow comes into play by thinking, well, then a court should be able to intercede and interject and overturn a presidential pardon. There's nothing in the Constitution that gives the court the right to do that. The court cannot interject or intercede everywhere that it wants to. That's also not constitutional. And this is ridiculous. So now we have, well, I suppose basically, according to this guy, what we have now is we have three legislative branches. We have the executive legislative branch. We have the legislative branch, and we have the court legislative branch. All three of them can write laws, pass laws, interpret laws, and determine the laws. Well, that's not constitutional. And if you don't like what the president does, then the court has the right and the ability to overturn anything and everything. Even if the president is acting constitutionally, such as in the so-called travel bans. But if you don't like it, you can get the court to change it. So I guess that's what he's saying, because we've already set the precedent on this president by saying, well, we don't like your travel ban. So we're going to find judges somewhere that's going to agree with us and overturn your travel ban when the courts don't have. This is why the president should just have ignored it. He should have ignored those court orders and just by saying, look, this is unconstitutional. I don't have to follow this. It's an illegal court order. We're going to protect the people of the United States. Protecting the people, that's like saying that the courts have the ability to tell the military when they're going to fight a war. They don't. But according to this jackass, they do. And this jackass goes by the name of Lawrence Tribe. I don't know who the hell Lawrence Tribe is, but he's obviously in my neck of the woods. He's a Harvard law professor. These are the people that we're actually going to pay attention. Look, we have. There's another story. Where is that other story that has to do with why aren't we changing this on the law? Where is that story here in my electronic paper pile? Is it electronic or is it in? Or is it in the paper pile? Let's see here. Paper pile. Here's something that should be overturned. Nobody's talking about this, however. Well, I mean, I talk about it quite often because I think it's wrong. It's immoral. And it has nothing to do with the safety of the country as far as we would put safety of the country is concerned at the presidential or federal level. Nothing like Arpaio. But maybe the president ought to look into some of these cases as well and get the courts to start saying, well, the law is wrong, the law is unconstitutional, the law is flawed. And this happens a lot, folks. And it's not just with this kind of case, but similar cases where the law where they utilize and interpret the law to do something that it wasn't intended to do. So the so-called intent. Okay, if the intent is what really counts, then why are we misusing laws all over the place? Like this particular case, and there are numerous cases like this. I keep bringing you these types of cases. Here we have minors. Now it has been made clear that minors who take nude pictures of themselves are now illegal child pornographers. This is nothing new, however, because prosecutors all over the country have used these child protective anti-pornography child pornography laws against children, and in many cases, those children end up becoming labeled sexual predators and have to register as a sexual offender for their entire life. Because they're 16 or 15 years old, they take a nude picture of themselves and send it to their boyfriend or girlfriend who's also 15 or 16 years old, and then somebody finds it on their phone and says, aha, you're a child pornographer. Or if the person has self-nude photos of themselves when they were 16 and 17, they turn 18, now they're in possession of child pornography. We've had these stories. Now, I challenge anybody to tell me that is what the law intended, and that those are just justifications for going after kids who take pictures of themselves. So you're not allowed to have nudies of yourself. You're not allowed. If you are underage, you are not allowed to take pictures of your own glorious, naked, God-given body. Now, I know that's not what the law intended, but that's how they're utilizing the law today. The law did not intend to put Joe Arpaio in harm's way as far as courts are concerned, but that's how they utilize. Folks, this is all entwined here. Pay attention to this. This is all intertwined. When you have jackasses like Mr. Tribe, Professor Tribe of Harvard, who twist the laws in the Constitution, you get laws like this that entrap people that should not be entrapped. And this is a law that is going to affect these kids the rest of their life. You would think that courts can make a distinction between predatory, monstrous criminal behavior and youthful, foolish ignorance. You would think that the courts would be able to make the distinction between illegal law based on the Constitution and protecting society versus just being disobeying laws or breaking laws. You would think. But if you think so, you would be wrong. There is a case out of the state Supreme Court in Washington State, the state in which a mayor recently, has been accused for a fifth time by his own relative, a cousin or nephew, of inappropriate sexual conduct when he was a minor. This case Supreme Court case out of Washington could have an alarming implications down the line. Indeed, it already has in other various aspects. It's not just this case. This is why I'm bringing it to you. After covering some of the previous case law in this area, we hear the results of State versus Gray. In it, a 17-year-old boy had used his phone to take pictures of his private part. He sent it to someone without that someone's consent, in other words, sexting. Now, the boy is clearly guilty of something, but not child pornography. In view of the Washington State's highest court, apparently thinks that the kid is guilty of child pornography. By taking a picture of his own 17-year-old private parts and sending it to another person. The reason why the person that he sent it to was over the age of 18. Now, the reason why the person over the age of 18 would need to report this is because as soon as the kid sent that picture to that person over 18, or anybody, doesn't matter who, that person is now in possession of child pornography. Well, what do you think the person who's now in possession of child pornography wants to do? They want to get rid of it. But in this day and age, when you can't really get rid of anything because government snaps it up and keeps it, and could come back later and say, look, you had this on your phone. And if you had it on your phone, if they sent it to you and you didn't want them to send it to you, why didn't you report it? Well, too late. You did report it then, so now you're guilty of having child pornographic material. You're going to jail and have to register as a sex offender for the rest of your life. So the person who didn't even ask for this because they couldn't, understand, the person is over 18. So there's no way in hell that they could actually ask for the 17-year-old to send them pornographic material. So they didn't ask for it, but he sends it anyway. Who knows what he's thinking? He's probably thinking that this is going to impress this girl or this boy. Doesn't matter. The person gets it, says, "Oh my God, I'm in possession of child pornography." He runs to the police and says, "I didn't ask for this. I'm here to tell you I did not ask for this." The police take the phone, investigate, find out that the kid is 17, and he's 17, the picture is of a 17-year-old. So now the 17-year-old is in trouble for sending child pornography of his own private part. And the Supreme Court thinks that's okay. That's exactly what the law intended. That is not what the law intended. So if a 17-year-old is involved in sending an unsolicited picture of his erect penis, evidently, and apparently unwilling to an apparently unwilling recipient, well, the recipient can't be willing because it would be child pornography. Do you see how twisted this gets? It can't. The person who gets it cannot be a willing recipient because if they are, they're in possession of child pornography, and they are just as guilty as the person who sent them the picture. So the very convoluted notion that the person is an unwilling recipient, in the eyes of the law, they can be nothing else. So this is how convoluted you can twist the law. This is where this professor in Harvard is going with this whole notion. And don't think that once this has been raised, do not think, especially over the next 3.5 years that the president has in his first term, don't think it's going to stop here. Do not think it's going to stop here. They are going to come up with convoluted ways of twisting the law to try to stop and block this president every possible way they can. Because if it is so easy to manipulate and convolute this particular law, it is easy to convolute and twist and manipulate any law, including constitutional law. How the hell can you possibly sit there on a court and to a judge say, well, it's an apparently unwilling recipient. Well, if the recipient is willing to receive that type of pornography, it is called child pornography. Now they are guilty of a big crime themselves. So even if they are willing to get it, they have to say that they're unwilling to get it, or else they're going to jail. I hope you understand how convoluted this crap is. This is coming from leftists, people. Leftists.
I'm not Rod Eccles, and I approve this message.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
A couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said, I'll bet you're a Nazi. Well, I love America, support the Constitution, and believe in capitalism. So I told him I'm not a Nazi, and I'm not. So what happens? The punk breaks out 2 windows and pepper sprays an elderly woman in the face. You know, there's one thing about long-haired young people nowadays. They're real assholes. Long-haired young people. You suck.
Now, Now, first of all, folks, I don't want people to think that I know that there are going to be leftists out there, liberals who listen to this who are thinking, Rod is advocating that child pornography should be legal. No, I'm not advocating that. What I am advocating that if you're taking a picture of yourself, I don't care how old you are, you have a right to do with that image of yourself, because you own the picture and you own your body, you would think, to do with what you want with it. Now, if you send it to somebody, if you're 16 years old, there's another story here about kids, by the way. Where is that? There is a study that was done that shows that children today's teens, well, I guess if they're sending out adult pictures of themselves, maybe they're not. But there is this is from the Daily Mail. There's a story here. Today's U.S. teens are about 3 years behind 70s generation teens when it comes to sex, alcohol, and getting jobs. A study by San Diego State University analyzed 8.3 million teens from 1976 to 2016. They found that in the 70s, 15-year-olds were having sex, drinking alcohol, and working. But these days, teens are willing to wait until age 18 to take up sex, drinking, alcohol, and working. So in other words, by today's standard, today's 18-year-old is the equivalent of yesterday's 15-year-old. And I have been complaining about this for a few years now, about how young these supposed adults are. That when they're in college, they're 18 to 22 years old, and they act like they're 15 years old. Well, I was dead. I didn't even have to spend a whole ton of money and years and years and years of study to figure this out. I figured it out all on my own, just by paying attention. Today's adults are acting like kids. 20-somethings are acting like kids, and it seems like they're taking to the age of 30 and beyond to fully mature. I mean, you talk to some 30-year-olds, and you think, am I speaking to a high school student? Or am I speaking to an adult? Maybe this is the whole point about the anti. Look, they surveyed 8.3 million teens over, a 30-year period, and found out how those age 13 to 19 spent their times and how often they engage in adult activities such as drinking alcohol, dating, taking jobs, driving, or having sex. And, well, look, because of the internet, these kids don't want to get up and get a job. When was the last time you saw a 16-year-old working in the mall? Seriously. Well, I don't know. It's been a while for me because I don't go to the mall. But really, when was the last time you saw a bunch of 16-year-olds? Because that was the purveyance, fast food joints and malls were the purveyance of teenagers, 16, 17, 18-year-old high school students. It's where you got a job, your first job. I don't see that many. You go after school to a fast food joint, and who's still behind who's manning the fry-later and the counter? Most likely not a 16 to 18-year-old, but in a lot of cases it's a senior citizen. You can't make this stuff up. So I guess maybe that just proves that these kids are even younger than we thought. So how would you possibly expect them to be able to have have a good concept of adult behavior, especially when it comes to their own bodies? I mean, really. So let's just punish the hell out of them, right?
It was just another quiet Saturday at the Johnson home.
Honey, have you seen the hammer?
It's in the garage.
Oh, no, not the garage.
Later that same day...
Dad, I can't find the bicycle pump.
Son, I'm afraid it's in the garage.
The garage?
Then the following Tuesday...
Howard, where's the car?
It's in the garage.
Does your garage look like a giant yard sale without the yard? Do you cringe at the thought of entering your garage? Then you need Crest Garage Cabinets. With one phone call, those wonderful folks at Crest will come out to your home, design the best combination of cabinets for you, and install them quickly and professionally before your very eyes.
It's a miracle.
And unlike other companies who ask for a down payment or money up front, you won't pay a penny until your Crest cabinets are installed to your satisfaction. So call Crest today, toll-free at 1-800-548-2848. That's 1-800-548-2848. And you'll never fear going into your garage again.
And now, a message from the American Migraine Foundation.
It's an absolute nightmare. I was terrified. It was like your head's going to explode.
Migraine is a disabling disease.
Just all of a sudden couldn't see.
Migraine has ruined my life.
Absolutely terrifying.
There's pain that does not stop.
It's a throbbing, pulsing, banging, hammering feeling in your head.
36 million Americans suffer.
I started getting migraines around 5 years old.
Just takes over everything.
I feel trapped by migraine.
It hurts like my head's gonna fall off.
And the whole world around you stops.
My world has gotten small.
You feel like the world's closing in on you. There's nothing you can do.
I had spent a year housebound.
It's like you're trapped in your head. There's no escaping it. You can't leave your body.
Don't suffer alone. Make your move against migraine. Visit AmericanMigraineFoundation.org to find help, learn more, and get connected.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
and so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals, because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Hour number 3 here. Welcome to all of you liberty lovers and ecclesiastics all across the globe. The fastest 3 hours on Internet Talk Radio is right here on this program, The Rod Eccles Show. The call-in action hotline number, got to come up with a real name for that, for the number, 603-835-3226. You can utilize that number anytime during the program, when the program is live, of course. Here it is, Tuesday, is September number 19 in the year of our Lord 2017. Glad that you are here. Got some Hillary news for you this morning. Is anybody watch The View? Well, you can't watch The View because you're listening to this program at the same time that The View is on, I do believe. Anybody ever catch The View at any time? You know, you can catch it on YouTube or something, replay, whatever. Evidently, Jedallah, Jededlah, Jedallah Bila, B-I-L-A, is leaving The View over Hillary interview, evidently. I don't even know who that is. I don't care. I don't care if the person on The View is that this person is a conservative, the token conservative or a liberal, doesn't matter. If you're a conservative, you shouldn't be on The View. I'm just saying you shouldn't. You shouldn't be you should not be the lone conservative, that token conservative with those other cackling hens. It's beneath you. Honestly, that's my view of The View. It is beneath you to. There's no way I could ever be on sitting at the same table or sitting on the same sofa with the likes of Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg. I can't say what I would like to. Well, if I don't say it now, people are going to get the wrong impression. I mean, they should. Well, they've often talked about it, doing this kind of thing to other people. But those two, those cackling hens probably should be slapped across the face every once in a while to wake them up from their dream state. I'm not talking about physical abuse, although some people will say, well, if you even touch a person, that's physical abuse. Which reminds me, they've got this whole notion of there's this whole argument. Everybody's upset with DeVos now because she wants to change the regulations behind this whole rape stuff. I know some people are saying rape stuff, Rod. Well, that's what it is. And you've got the left who is protesting DeVos because she wants to make it where both sides are better protected, not just one side. Oh, God forbid, you want to protect the accused, because as we've seen under the old rules that were instituted under liberal administrations, including the Obama administration. If a girl just says it, then you have to believe him, and it definitely took place. And the person who did the raping, whether it be another female or if it's a guy, and it's most likely a guy, is guilty. And then we find out later, well, it didn't even happen. In fact, in some cases, sexual relations didn't even happen, so there was no way a rape could have occurred. And yet their lives are already ruined, or the organization that they belong to, like a fraternity, is ruined. And there's no ramifications for the accuser falsely accusing the accused. I'm just saying. So that's the same. These people they live in a dream world. And here's another story that proves that. Hillary on Russiagate. During an interview, she says, I won't rule out You won't believe what you won't rule out. Of course, you probably will, because if you listen to this program, you know that this woman is she's, again, we're not mental professionals here, so we cannot mentally, professionally diagnose her mental state. But I think the woman's crazy. I think that she is possibly certifiable. That's my opinion of her. Look at her sometimes in the interview. She gets the crazed look on her face and in her eyes get that crazy look in them, and that cackling laugh that she gets sometimes. That hyena cackling. It sounds crazy. She looks crazy. And sometimes she says some crazy things. Well, just like Nancy Pelosi. No different. Except Nancy Pelosi's just... one would be Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's. What would Hillary Clinton be? Because you could probably label Pelosi with the onset of Alzheimer's and maybe dementia or something. The way she, but she also gets similar crazy eyes. You ever see Pelosi sometimes, and she's reacting or to certain things? She gets the same crazed look. Is that the liberal female crazed look? I haven't noticed liberal males with that look. It's just females. They're not the only two females I've noticed with that look, but they're two of the most prominent. It's nearly exactly the same. As a matter of fact, if you could somehow homogenize their hair color and their eyebrow color, if you only look at them from the bridge of the nose up, and all you saw was their eyes, and when they did that, you'd be hard pressed to tell who was who. But she says, I won't rule out questioning the legitimacy of the election. And you won't believe why she won't rule out questioning the legitimacy of the election. Because of all places, folks, because of all places on the planet where an election was overturned by a court, an election of the presidency was overturned by the court. Kenya. Anybody remember that? Yeah, well, because the court said that in Kenya said that the fraud, the voter fraud that was going on was just so rampant. There was no possible way anybody could ever certify as that election as being legitimate. And they tossed it out. Now, I don't recall exactly if they've gone back to real, they redid it or not. But Hillary Clinton is saying the same thing as it pertains to her election contest between her and Donald Trump. So she's not ruling out hope. I guess that the Supreme Court of this country is going to overturn the election results and throw them out and say, there was too much fraud, and then put her in power. Hillary's the real winner. So, so she's, this is coming about because of this stupid book of hers. What's it titled? I don't know. It's been it should be subtitled "Everybody's at fault except me." So she says that she's doing this or saying this based on the Kenyan presidential election that was overturned. Challenging the legitimacy of the election has been her chief occupation in the USA, in U.S. politics since she lost on November 8th of 2016. Although now, according to this story, that challenge has been framed in moral terms, not legal ones now. Now, Comey stabbed her in the back, basically, is what her book is saying. Bernie stabbed her. How did Bernie Sanders stab her in the back? Oh, Bernie stabbed her in the back. Basically, if you read her book, and I haven't read her book, I'm just going by excerpts from people who supposedly have read her book, and her interviews. I've seen quite a few of her interviews based on this, on her book. Bernie stabbed her in the back by not campaigning hard enough for her. In other words, Bernie stabbed her in the back by not delivering all of Bernie supporters' voters for her. And, of course, voters stabbed her in the back for preferring a boorish, unkempt, uncouth alpha male instead of picking a grandmotherly liberal feminist as their president. Oh, well, I mean, you could throw in potentially crazy, potentially ill. This is, I don't understand this at all. The book is not flying off the shelves. In fact, it's gathering dust faster than it's being sold. Major book houses or bookstores and booksellers have massively discounted this book already. Before it even hit the bookshelves, you had Amazon and Barnes & Noble and I think Walmart discounting the book 40%. That's unheard of. Now, usually a so-called bestseller, when it's released, they'll claim they'll discount it like 20%, 10 to 20%, but 40% is just unheard of. There are some outlets now that I've heard, and I had it somewhere, that some bookstores have it marked down 50%. In other words, basically now what you have the publisher subsidizing a bookstore to sell the book in the hopes of getting the numbers up so they can say it's a bestseller, so then more people would buy it. Nobody's buying it. So her book is already discounted. It hasn't even been on the shelves for 2 weeks. It's already discounted 40 to 50%. And yet she's still being interviewed over this thing. How is that possible? How is she still getting, she's got all this free publicity, all this free press, all this promotion, all the discounts, and she still can't sell her damn book because nobody's buying it. Because evidently there's a lot of people in this country, even Democrats, that think that the woman's crazy. I'm just saying, she has a right to do it. By the way, why isn't she donating any of the profits that she's earned to any charity? Harvey, Irma, Jose, Maria coming up. Why isn't she pledging any of that? No, she's hoarding it. How much did she get the book publisher was stupid for giving her a huge advance. What'd she get for an advance? What was the number I heard? 14 million? I don't remember. It was a ridiculous. The publisher is going to lose their shirt on this one. Which is why they're trying, by discounting and subsidizing certain booksellers to actually carry the book. They're trying to recoup some of that big. I don't know if they because usually if you're not a big author, then chances are sometimes they'll give you, if they give you a large advance, they want a minimum guarantee, so you may have to pay back some of the advance if you don't meet the minimum. But usually they don't give out huge advances. But in some cases they do. I mean, usually a book author might get a $5,000 or $10,000 advance, and the publisher will usually, even if it's a bad book, will usually break even on that. So in other words, the author is really hardly ever going to make more than that initial $10,000 advance. That's what it is in advance. They usually break even. And if they usually come short of that, they rarely have the author pay back any part of the advance that doesn't meet the minimum. But when you start getting into the big numbers, you're talking $1 million or more in an advance, and they can't even recoup $1 million back, they might ask for some of that advance back. I hope she didn't spend it. Well, I don't know. Maybe Bill already did on some of his, you know.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Yes, love hurts. It can hurt emotionally, but more important, it can also hurt you physically. It can hurt you in a way which nobody who owns a hot tub and lives in California can afford to be unaware of. Yes, I'm talking about California hot tub rectal gonorrhea. This painful, incurable disease can make an enjoyable soak in a hot tub with family, friends, and dog into a literally unforgettable experience. If you catch California hot tub rectal gonorrhea, not only will you walk around feeling like you're about to pass a twisted sardine can lid, you'll also smell like a pile of burning tractor tires. So don't jump out of the frying pan and into the hot tub, because if you get California hot tub rectal gonorrhea, it'll really burn your ass.
This has been a public service message brought to you by the Citizens Against CHTRG Foundation.
California hot tub rectal gonorrhea. We're not going to take it sitting down.
Six 835-3226. That's obviously the number to call. Somebody sent me a email. You can do the same thing. Send me an email to the Rod Eccles Show at gmail.com. And they sent me an email. They said, whenever you give out the phone number, whenever you make an announcement, you should do it in a DJ voice. Now, I know exactly what they mean when they say DJ voice, because this is my normal talking voice on the air, behind the microphone and that kind of thing. But what they're saying, I guess I should say the number this way. Hey, if you want to call, all you got to do is call 603-835-3226. That's the number to call. I don't think DJs do that anymore, though. That was a 70s thing, wasn't it? Wasn't that a 70s? I remember that they actually did sound like that. DJs and a lot of times if you were like back on an urban radio station and you played music, you also needed to be rap kind of originated with DJs. You had to be a rhymer. What was it? Who was the black character's name on WKRP in Cincinnati? Anybody remember watching that? That was a hilarious show. I don't think they can show it. Well, maybe they. No, I don't. Yeah, I guess they could. TV Land has Welcome Back Kotter. Anybody you remember that show? They have Welcome Back Kotter on the weekend. And I caught a episode of that a couple of weekends ago. Like, really? This is Welcome Back Kotter? They actually are showing Welcome Back Kotter? It was a bunch of stereotypes there. You had the Jewish nerdy kid in the back, Horshack. and then you had Bob Barino, John Travolta. And Freddie, the black kid. He was stereotypical black kid from the 70s, I guess. I don't know, but a bunch of stereotypes in the students in that show. I'm just surprised that they were showing it. I'm surprised that somebody hasn't. Back in the time when you could do stuff like that, when you could just write characters that were, even if they were stereotypical, they were still true to form and true to life. You can't have programs like that today. I hate to bring it up, but one of the problems that the Bill Cosby show first faced was that because not white people, but black people chastise it because it didn't use the stereotype of, like Good Times. Remember the TV show Good Times was okay. Because that showed the true plight of black people. And black people in the 80s hadn't risen to the level of being a married couple where one was a doctor and one was a lawyer. That's not the typical black American family. It was BS, yes. But that's what Bill Cosby faced first. And I know he's facing all kinds of other things today. But at the time, that was considered to be groundbreaking. Now, why was that groundbreaking? Black people back in the 70s and 80s were doctors and lawyers. That shouldn't have been groundbreaking. It was groundbreaking because he was actually able to get Hollywood and the networks to air the program. That was what was groundbreaking. The racist and bigots out there in Hollywood had blacks stuck into the Good Times realm of poverty and living in under the welfare state in the projects, public housing. Now understand, does anybody ever realize this? Public housing came about in the mid-'60s. under LBJ. You had a TV, basically it was a dramedy, probably the first dramedy on the air, about a black family in the early 70s, no more than 5 or 6 years on, talking about the terrible conditions and plight of black people living in poverty and in the projects. And it took us until when to really start dismantling many places, many projects? And they still want to they still want to have the welfare state? Yeah, it's slavery, anybody?
You might be surprised to learn who has Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. Nearly 1 in 200 Americans are suffering with a debilitating pain and constant disruption of these inflammatory bowel diseases, or IBD. Chances are you know someone with IBD. For example, your neighbor or coworker. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation was created to help patients cope and to find a cure. People with IBD can't wait. Won't you help someone you know? Visit www.escapethestall.com today.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C, but most people don't know they are infected. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you can still have hepatitis C, a serious liver disease that often has no symptoms. In fact, people can live with hepatitis C for decades without feeling or looking sick. But over time, hepatitis C can cause serious health problems, including liver damage, liver failure, or even liver cancer. Getting tested is the only way to know if you're infected with hepatitis C. That's why the CDC recommends everyone born from 1945 to 1965 get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments are available that can cure this disease. So talk to your doctor about getting tested. It could save your life. A message from the CDC.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? Shifting to a system based on primary care can help fix the problem. Patients with a primary care doctor live longer, healthier lives and are less likely to suffer from cancer, heart disease, or stroke. Primary care that is comprehensive and coordinated also saves money. Patients who have a primary care doctor spend 30% less on health care than patients who don't. States with a high number of primary care doctors have lower health care costs and higher quality care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
The Amazon's rainforest is being cut down so fast that by 2030, 55% of it could be completely wiped out. The Earth's forests can't speak up when they need help, but we can. Be the voice for those who have no voice. Visit worldwildlife.org.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, it can lead to arthritis, facial paralysis, and even memory and concentration problems, often called brain fog. As the threat of Lyme disease grows to more than 300,000 projected cases each year, it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside, even in your own backyard. It means seeing a doctor if you experience the symptoms of Lyme disease, which can include joint pain, flu-like symptoms, fever, fatigue, or sometimes a bullseye-shaped rash. Set your sights on stopping Lyme. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org.
Dad, we need to talk.
Can we just enjoy the drive?
If you're not going to listen to me, who will you listen to?
Jeffrey. Marcia Gay Harden, what?
Eyes on the road, Dad.
What are you doing? What are you doing in my back seat? How did you get in here? You're getting older. Not that old.
Your brain's changing. It's natural. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Honey, I've got experience with this.
Jeffrey, brain health is all about making the most of your brain as you age and helping to reduce some of the risks to your brain.
Really? Now that's interesting.
So, you'll talk to her about this, but not me. Marcia Gay Harden? Where did she go?
Learn what you can do to help keep your brain healthy at brainhealth.gov. She didn't say goodbye? I mean, I would have. Visit brainhealth.gov.
Now, Hillary Clinton can be construed as being a nut job, but she's not the only one. Any true leftist, I think that I've heard this. I think I heard Michael Savage. I think was the first person that I think I heard say this, that liberalism is a mental disorder. Now, I don't know if he invented the phrase or not. I don't particularly care. He was the first person I heard say it. And I think he was right. And Michael Savage is a doctor. He's not a medical doctor, but he has a couple of PhDs, from what I understand. I don't listen to him very often. He's a little grating, and he can get a little condescending to some of his callers. I'm just saying. I mean, obviously, he's like in the top 5 syndicated talk show hosts, so evident, he's obviously very well liked and respected. Speaking of talk show hosts, it looks like Ann Coulter is landing on Fox. In the 10 o'clock spot, wasn't that Sean Hannity? Was Sean Hannity on? No, I don't watch Sean Hannity's TV show. Is he on at 9? He's on at 9, isn't he? Well, Ann Coulter evidently is coming in October at the 10 o'clock hour. Yeah, because you have Tucker Carlson is on at 8. Is that when he comes on? He's on at 8, right? Now I don't. And the 5, they're on at like 6 or 7. I don't know the lineup. I know Tucker Carlson, I think, is, and then after Tucker is Hannity. So I don't know who Ann is replacing. But I guess she's going to get the 10 o'clock spot starting in October. Well, good for her. I don't always agree with Ann Coulter. And I even chastise her for agreeing, for falling for the notion that Trump has made a deal with the Democrats to get rid of, or to keep DACA and to have amnesty for DACA and Dreamers. And that's not what, and Trump even said that's not what he said. So, but, she believed the press on it. And she propagated it on Twitter. And I took her to task on that. But liberals do have they can, you hang around liberals too much, they can drive the rest of us a little crazy too. But understanding that what they really want is a form of dependence on government and slavery. They do not want self-reliance at all, which is why there was an article that was out, a piece that they're already establishing the fact that this economy, as it is recovering, is not due to Trump at all. That this is all Obama. Because the numbers in the last year of Obama's administration were pointing towards betterment of the American economy. They said that for 8 years. Well, they said it for probably four to 6 years. His entire second stint as president was, well, the economy's recovering. It's recovering. It's recovering at an anemic rate of 1% to 2%. He is the first president in modern history, since they've been keeping records of this, of GDP, that has at any time in his tenure, and he had 8 years, not just 4, that did not hit 3% annualized GDP growth. First president. That officially, in other words, more people under Obama were in poverty, on government assistance, unemployed, and the lowest labor participation rate since probably the Great Depression, making Obama officially the worst president, even more worse, even badder, if you want to use those terms, than Jimmy Carter. The numbers tell the story. If you're going strictly by numbers, Obama is officially the worst president we've ever had. If you want to go by just even anecdotal evidence or anything else, policy, domestic and world policy, Obama is far worse than even Jimmy Carter. Obama is so bad that Jimmy Carter is like, yeah, thanks for being elected, man. You've just saved me before I died of being labeled the worst president ever. Jimmy Carter can now go to his grave. Well, he's like 90 plus something now. He's not long for this world, and fortunately, unfortunately, what have you. Natural fact of life. Jimmy Carter stayed alive long enough to see somebody else be elected president who was worse than he was. So he can now rest in peace knowing that he's not the worst president ever. That's and let's face it, Jimmy Carter was pretty bad. Now, you can't blame it all on him. And what I mean by that is that, sure, some of Jimmy Carter's issues were based on his beliefs, his liberal beliefs. But some of his failure was just based on pure and sheer incompetence. Now, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing. I mean, sure, you're still responsible for not knowing how to do your job, but a job that you wanted and that you sought after and got. But at the same time, there's a little bit of that responsibility gets laid on the people around him who were supposed to know what they were doing as well. In his cabinet, and they all had the same mentality. Some of them supposedly did know what they were doing, and they still screwed things up, probably on purpose. But a little bit was due to his beliefs. Well, it was probably 50-50 on Carter's part. 50% of his liberalistic beliefs, and 50% due to just sheer incompetency. Obama really wasn't incompetent. Really wasn't. I've always said Obama wasn't stupid. Jimmy Carter was just a happy-go-lucky governor from the state of Georgia, former peanut farmer. He was just incompetent. Obama really wasn't incompetent because Jimmy Carter was just if you want to call him a dud, stupid, go ahead. Obama was not stupid. I warned people about him from the beginning. They were going to say that Obama's stupid and that he's incompetent. No. I've said this community organizer. He went to Harvard, and he did things with Harvard and Yale and law and constitution law, and he taught constitution. This guy knew exactly how to get around things. He knew how to get around. There are people still talking about how did he really fake his way into some of the colleges and institutions that he went to and worked at. The question is, did really? I mean, nobody's ever we got Mueller out there investigating inspecting everybody's anal cavity. Not just once. He's like the TSA. The TSA will pat you down not once, but up to 9 times. This is Mueller. He's out there, anal cavity searching and checking everybody in the Trump organization 9 times. And not once is anybody doing this with Obama. Now, we've got stuff, and I'm not even talking about his birth certificate here. I know some people are saying, well, you're going to go back to the birther thing like Trump. Well, even Trump dropped the birther issue. I'm talking about the very fact that Columbia University, New York University, he's got an application out there. It's public knowledge. He said he was a foreign student. Kenyan, basically. Nobody's looking into that kind of stuff. This guy got through. How did he pay for it? Did anybody ever ask how he paid for his education? Nobody's ever. Evidently, he wasn't wealthy. He never talked about his grandparents paying for his education. His mother couldn't afford it, and she was sick for a good portion of his adult life. Nobody's ever asked that question, but this guy found a way to get through it. Did he not? That's not incompetence. I said the guy was most likely, he's not the smartest guy or highest IQ man that we've ever had for president, but he was a brilliant man. I mean, here's a guy who even said about DACA, well, I can't do that. That's illegal. It's unconstitutional. And then writes an executive order and does it and gets away with it to the point where people get upset when another president rescinds it and says partly the reason why he rescinded it is because it's unconstitutional. That's a brilliant man. So it wasn't incompetence. It was 100% due to his ideology and beliefs, his ultra-leftist, communistic, Islamic beliefs. Plain and simple. And he was so brilliant at getting all that accomplished that you have some people who he was so brilliant at doing it that he made some people believe that he was incompetent. And he wasn't. But I get onto that little tirade simply because now they're trying to shore up Obama's legacy by stating, that he was this economy that's improving and going gangbusters now is not due to any way, any shape, any manner, any form due to Trump. Just like the economy getting worse and worse and worse in Obama's first term was not Obama's fault. It was all Bush's fault. George W. Bush. Yeah, it was his fault. So Obama doesn't get blamed for anything bad, but he's going to get the credit for everything good. Just like this, food stamp usage has fallen every month of the Trump presidency. It has dropped since January. Dramatically. And that is because the labor participation rate is inching up. Unemployment is down. More Americans are working, and wages are starting to increase. So what does all that mean? It means that fewer people need government assistance. Food stamps usage has declined every month since President Trump took office in January, according to the latest U.S. Department of Agriculture statistics on food stamp enrollment. Participation in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, otherwise known as SNAP, dropped to 41,300,000 in June. The latest data available from 42,700,000 in January. So that's a good drop, and it's still going down. Food stamp usage has been on a steady decline since Trump began his presidency in January, with the latest data showing that SNAP enrollment decreased by more than 1.3 million participants, or 3.2% since the beginning of his term in office. And he hasn't kicked a single person off of food stamps. He hasn't changed by executive order or decree or any law that has changed the food stamp or SNAP program whatsoever. The only reason why people are getting off of food stamps is because they can afford to buy food themselves. Because why? They're going back to work. The lower unemployment rate, by the way, meaning more people are in the workforce or back working, is also the contributing factor to our government last quarter correcting a record amount of taxes. Because a good bulk of that, it comes from payroll and income taxes, does it not? if you've got more people working, that means more taxes. Look how that works. Unemployment drops. Participation, labor rate and participation rate goes up, even slightly. And Treasury reports record amounts of income into its Treasury due to taxation because more people are paying taxes. Funny how that works, isn't it? It's just funny. I know you're not supposed to think of stuff like that. You're not supposed to. If you're a leftist, having fewer people on food stamps means that the Republicans are just mean and want people to starve, and they're kicking them off the food stamps left and right. Not that people were actually depending on themselves and going back to work and finding jobs that are meaningful and pay a decent wage, and not that wages are actually going up so people can afford the things that in life more easily without government assistance. Oh, no, that can't be it. It means that somebody in the government, some liberal, is going to say that the threshold for those people getting food stamps is now too low. What is it, like $30,000? Somebody's going to say, well, $40,000 should be the cutoff. That's the poverty rate, should be at $40,000 or below, is poverty. Don't doubt me. Don't doubt me on that. You know it's coming.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
There is some new news out there on the climate change front, and it's not good for the pro-climate change people, protagonists, protectors out there. It is that climate change, and this is from the Telegraph.co.uk, which is, everybody knows, is not a conservative ragmag. Climate change not as threatening to planet as previously thought. New research suggests. So Trump isn't responsible for hurricanes Harvey, Irma, Jose, and Maria. Evidently, because climate change poses less of an immediate threat to the planet than previously thought, because things are not happening, folks. This is an aside. Things are not happening the way that their so-called models have predicted. Things aren't heating up. Ocean levels aren't rising. Unless, of course, it's a surge due to a hurricane. Then they're rising. But otherwise, natural, peaceful weather, ocean levels aren't rising. Cities that should be at least partially underwater right now, all around the world, are not underwater. Islands that were supposed to have disappeared right now, the only way they disappear today is not by the ocean swallowing them, but because some jackass decides to practice using, a nuclear weapon on them. Nothing's happening the way they want it. Or the way that is the way they wanted it. Not the way they said, the way they wanted. It's not happening the way they wanted. Don't forget that. The climate change poses less of an immediate threat to the planet than previously thought because scientists got their modeling wrong, a new study has found. No, they didn't get it wrong. They were perpetuating a fraud. Their models are exactly the way they wanted. New research by British scientists reveals the world is being polluted and warming up less quickly than 10-year-old forecasts predicted, giving countries more time to get a grip on their carbon output. Of course. Like Al Gore's Inconvenient Lie or Convenient Lie movie. Well, we're supposed to be underwater. Half the country's supposed to be underwater. All the ice is supposed to be gone in the North Pole. Speaking of ice, again, not following their so-called models. Massive Arctic ice gain over the past 5 years. Is there any wonder why a British scientific group would say the models over the past 10 years were wrong? Well, because they predicted warming. Instead, we've got massive ice gain over the past 5 years. In the North Pole. I'm not kidding. They've got the story right. This is realclimatescience.com has got the story, as well as other news outlets, and even the so-called liberal outlets are even touting this research and this information. And even NASA has gone silent on this. Because for a while under Obama, NASA was all about, there's climate change, there's man-made global climate change, the polar caps are going to melt, blah, blah, blah. But satellite imagery tells a different story. So now NASA has gone silent on this whole climate change thing. This whole, we're going to be iced out in, it's going to be war. Remember, they used to talk about that. There was going to be war over because the Arctic was going to ice out, and everybody in the North was going to be scrambling to try to put oil wells to get the oil that's under the ice in the North Pole. And as it turns out, even how many times have the so-called research ships going up there to the north towards the North Pole in the Arctic to do research on global warming and getting trapped by ice and needing to be rescued? It's happened a few times over the past 5 years. That was the first hint that we got that they were a little bit wrong on that. Honestly. Finally today, warning. Those on antidepressants, the commonly prescribed drugs that are used for fighting depression, raise the risk of early death by a third. Study finds the drugs do more harm than good, researchers say, and the use should be cut. Psychiatrists disputed this and argue that they have been safely used for years, but they studied the impact on some 380,000 people and found that these antidepressant drugs obviously are putting people in the grave early, whether they're taking their own life or just dying, I guess, from other means. It raise your risk of heart disease by 33% and other respiratory and cardiovascular diseases by a third. Man, you can't even be depressed nowadays. Really. You can't. Well, we're out of time for today, but we will be back here in 21 hours. Tomorrow is Wednesday Hump Day, which means it's also Intel Report Day. You're not going to want to miss that at all. Until then, have a wonderful Tuesday afternoon. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Rod Eccles. I'm out.
Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A shameless politician always plays her cards right. Got a crew for the fight on the airwaves. Left dogs in the press keep their mouths tight. Cause a Clinton never needs to explain why it is what they done or with who. A real Clinton knows that they're entitled, and you don't get to know what they do.
What difference does it make?
For Clinton, what's loaded in some fat Apple file? A Clinton plays a victim for promotion. A Clinton kills it off with a smile. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A server full of secrets ain't no thing. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Nothing ever hits with the sting.